Getting a professional level finish on your work, one that is glass smooth yet buttery to the touch and yet doesn't feel like plastic or look like you've got it coated in epoxy, well, that's a skill all unto itself. And today, I want to talk about a very inexpensive way that I at least get as close as I can to that level of quality. Today, we're going to talk about buffing systems. Buffing systems are not a new invention. In fact, it's that old wipe on, wipe off kind of setup. You're using polishes and wax to kind of refine that top coat without really soaking it with a top coat. Nothing, you're actually still going to feel a lot of the wood. And there are a lot of different systems out there. I'm using a Beal system, but the principle is all the same. You have a couple different layers of polish, and a lot of people will put wax on a final wheel, but most of the time I just use this for buffing it out. I don't really like a heavy wax finish. So what we have right here is 3 different wheels set up on my mini lathe. And in my shop, it just kind of pretty much stays here. And warning, when you want to buff something out, you need to make sure that the finish that's on it, whether it be shellac, oil, or whatever, is fully cured. A lot of times I use walnut oil, and walnut oil takes a little bit while, so I might wait 2 or 3 weeks before I do this kind of buffing. But the cool thing is, I can touch stuff up. If I go out to an art gallery and my whole booth gets rained on, I can come back here, spend a couple hours, and rebuff up everything, and it's back to new. So as I said, I got 3 wheels. This one's dedicated to Triple E. This one's dedicated to a polish called White Diamond. And sometimes wax comes on this one, sometimes it doesn't. It stays on this mini lathe when I'm not taking the mini lathe to galleries and stuff like that. And I have it set to a speed where the maximum these are going to go is 1750. You don't really want to go any faster than that. Going slower just takes a little bit of time. And the first thing I do, because it is in my shop and there might be sawdust or something in there, and wood dust will act as an abrasive and it'll show scratches, is I'll clean it off. And that's basically turning it on, grabbing any old scrap piece of wood and just really getting into it. And you can see sawdust kind of flies off. And it's just cleaning it up. The next thing I want to do is load it up. So I have this brown crayon, and that's my Triple E compound, and I will just load a little bit up. That's about all you're going to need, and that'll last me for 30, 40 minutes of this stuff. Then I have a white crayon that is the White Diamond, and that's more of a polishing stuff. And then I leave my third one blank. A lot of people will put carnauba wax on it though, just to give it that last little finish. And maybe I'll show you what that does. I'll just do that one. But normally I leave that one blank because if I got any other kind of product, I can come over here and just do the buffing wheel and it kind of smooths out shellac and stuff like that. So I have 2 ring boxes right here. The only finish they have on them is a little bit of walnut oil, but the walnut oil is fully cured. As you can see, they got a slight sheen to them, but not much. So I'm going to polish this one up and leave this one as it is so that you can see the difference. And all it is you want to make sure you get every little piece of it. Really hold on tight because I have had these kind of grip and fling stuff out of my hand. And then just give it a nice buffing, making sure you cover everything. Now here's a snack bowl I use in my shop. I keep Cheerios or peanuts in it. It's been banged around a little bit. But watch how this can kind of refresh up an old finish. I'm only going to do one spot of it so you can tell the difference. finally, here's a little popper index card box I keep in my shop for notes. I made it probably 8 years ago, and I want to say it has a little shellac on it, but I'm not sure. I'm just going to do the top so that you can see the difference. It's just a quick little buffing with the Tripoli. It just kind of flattens everything out. And hit it with the white diamond. Notice how it's just kind of filling in all the little bumps and stuff like that. And then I'm just going to buff out all that stuff. How about my chisel handle? So here are the results. I only did the back half of the chisel handle. Can you tell the difference in the gloss and shine? It even filled in a little bit of the pores, but what I like about it, let's see if I can get the light reflecting on it. See how you see no orange peel? I mean, a lot of times, even with shellac or any kind of film finish, you're going to get a little bit of waviness. Because this is buffing, it is just dead flat. And it doesn't feel like anything other than the wood. Here's my my bowl, and let's see if we can tell where it got polished up. Kind of dull right there, dull, dull, and then you get to this spot, and just look at how the light, see how it kind of diffuses right there, and then we come over here, and the reflections all of a sudden get a lot crisper. It's because it's just a flatter surface. I mean, so much nicer, and I mean, you can feel a difference. I mean, this looks glass smooth, but one's just so much nicer, but it doesn't have that waxy feel or kind of oily feel that wax sometimes has, or if oil is just kind of still, you know, still curing. I mean, it's just glass smooth. How about that little box top? You can, I didn't do the sides. You can see there's just no light reflecting off of those sides, but then you come over to the top. Look at that. Really nice, smooth finish. And the piece de resistance. Which one of these were buffed and which one wasn't? Look at that. Look at the light reflection. And all it was spending maybe 30 seconds to a minute going through those 3 buffing wheels. Buffing is just a very inexpensive way to take your product to the next level, to give it a ultimate finish so that when the customers hold it, they can really appreciate your work. And it really is inexpensive. You can buy these kind of setups so that they'll set on a little hand drill or even a car buffer if you're doing big cabinet pieces. Any kind of buffing will work. This is just one option, this Beal setup, and I like it because I can just leave it on this lathe and just touch stuff up as I go along. And every few months I'll have to go through and redo all of the stuff in my show setup, the stuff I'm selling that hasn't moved yet, and it's amazing. It just kind of brings that last little sparkle up and it makes the stuff a lot more attractive to buyers. Well, I hope you enjoyed this little tip, and if you did, please like, favorite, subscribe, do all those social medias, tell your friends, and hey, visit my Instagram where I'm really doing some short tips kind of like this in that 30-second to 1-minute format. And all that information will be down below. And I want you to remember one last thing, that it is always worth the effort to learn, create, and share with others. Y'all be safe and have fun. For today's bonus, I want to talk to you about the Anarchist design book. Now, I'll admit I bought this book probably a year ago based upon that I liked the Anarchist tool chest book. It's kind of a philosophy, small build. It showed you what you could do with a limited set of tools and how to limit yourself down. And I was kind of expecting the same thing. And when I first got the book, you know, I kind of flipped through it. I looked through the chapters. I looked through the illustrations. And this was more of a newer style, more in-depth build style book from what my first impression, because he's broken it up into several different projects that you can build, and he walks you through them step by step, and the writing is good enough that you don't have to stare at the pictures to try and figure it out on your own. But the more I was reading this, I get a lot of questions from people who are just brand new woodworkers that are saying, where do I need to start? Where do I want to get into it, I want to try it out. And I've always referred them to Robert Wearing's book, The Essential Woodworker, I think it's called. I'm also going to start referring people to this one, because this is something that people could sit there, read through the chapters, and understand that you don't have to have a whole bunch of tools to make stuff that actually looks good and is going to be functional, and more importantly, is designed to the quality that will last generations. I like that the project he's doing is teaching some basic techniques with simple skills that brings in a lot of geometry and other subjects that people probably already know that they can apply to their woodworking. And the end result is basically the foundation that all the other styles of the craft, from shaker to the Dutch, the European styles, all those ornate carvings and stuff, you can kind of see how it was kind of based on this stuff. So if you haven't checked it out yet, Lost Art Press, the Anarchist Design Book. It's something that I'm working my way through now, and I'm just really impressed with it so far. I've got a table design that I'm going to borrow some of his chair making skills to accomplish.